Morning, everyone. It's 9 o'clock on Thursday, May 9th, 2024, and this is the regular monthly meeting of the Bismarck Parking Authority. I'm your chair, Jim Christensen. I see we have two other authority members and Commissioner Connolly present, so we have a quorum. And so we'll open the meeting with the consideration of the minutes from the April 11th meeting. Any changes, corrections, comments? If not, is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Is there a second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. We'll move on to the regular agenda, which starts with the financial statements. Jeremy, if you'd like to walk us through.
Sure, absolutely.
This thing
Chairman and authority board members, financials through April, we are tracking very well, and even on the income side, we're ahead on monthly parking revenue, mostly due to KLJ took additional extra spots at the 3rd Street ramp. And on expenses, we are tracking on budget on those line items. And snow removal cost was the larger expense in April from March's invoices for the hauling out of snow from the 2 surface lots from the second of our 2 snowstorms of earlier. So reserve account balance is $1,872,194, combined with our checking at $306,176. Total is $2,178,371.
Thank you, Jeremy. Any questions? Looks like we're getting close to a nice down payment on a new ramp. But it's better to be in the black, right? I think we all agree. Commissioner Connolly, does the City Commission like to see us in the black? Hopefully. Any questions of Jeremy on the financials? Anybody? Anything at all? If not, we'd entertain a motion to approve or accept the financials.
I'll move to approve.
And is there a second? Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please. Sue?
Josh?
Yes.
Jake?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes, that motion carries. Item 3 on the agenda. This could be a record, folks, by the way. Item 3 on the agenda is the mobile app feedback assessment survey results. Who's going to take that one? You want to? Welcome.
Thank you. Kate and Dawn are both in Birmingham for the Main Street Conference, so you get to talk to me again today. The mobile app survey did really well. We got lots of responses on it. You guys, I think, received the packets with it in there as well, but we had 124 people respond to the survey, and the majority of the people who responded are people who have their parking paid for by an employer. So these are people who are using the ramps every single day, and so their feedback was really, really helpful, I think. We asked them specifically if they're hourly parkers or if they're monthly parkers, and they're interested in the app, but they kind of were very similar, so I'll just talk about them in one. So first we just asked them their interest in a mobile app without bringing in any extra fees. And I would say about 2/3 people were very interested in it. They gave 5s and 4s to it. And we had a handful of people saying maybe they weren't sure, and then maybe another third give 2s and 1s for saying not probably something that they would use. It is important to note, though, that when I created the survey, I neglected to add a feature where they could say this didn't apply to them. So some of the people who put 2s and 1s said, well, I only use hourly, so monthly doesn't apply to me, and vice versa. So you can take about like 20 people out of the 2s and 1s for that reason. But the other large reason that people said that they didn't want an app is just that they don't like the hassle of technology. They're just used to the key card. They think that's simpler. They're worried about technology issues, especially in the ramp, that they're not going to get service down there, or that their phone will be dead or something like that, so they won't be able to access the ramp. So a lot of them requested that we keep the key card as a backup so that like the technology issues don't matter. They also requested that the option for automatic withdrawal stays as well, so that it's just simpler for especially like large employers who pay for their employees' parking and things like that. When we asked them how likely they are to use it if there was a processing fee, for hourly we asked if there would be a $1 processing fee each time you pay, how likely are you to use it? And if you are a monthly, there's $2 processing fee per spot per month. And it flipped. Obviously, people don't like paying fees. So maybe it was like 1/3 people were still really on board, and then 2/3 people said, no, I wouldn't want to use it if I had to pay for extra fees. We also asked them if there was just an online portal available to pay online without additional fees, how likely are they to use it? And a lot of people were into that idea. Maybe 2/3 again said, yeah, that's totally something I would use. And 1/3 again said no. So I'm assuming those people again are probably just not super into technology, prefer to just bring their check in person or mail it in and just keep it easier for them. We did also put in a question about just additional concerns or suggestions they have about the app. And we received a lot of questions from employers who pay their employees parking and small businesses who validate their customers' parking, just wondering how the app would work for them. They weren't opposed to an app, they just wanted to know how it worked. So I think if we do put up an app, I think reaching out to the downtown businesses and offering help on getting started, or even just like an overview of how it works, would be make the transition much smoother, especially because most of the people who took the survey have their parking paid for by an employer. So obviously they're the majority of the people who use it. And then we also included a spot for additional questions, just general things about the ramp. And we got a lot of good feedback about that as well. The number one thing people complained about was just parking spacing issues. People said there's a lot of new large vehicles in the ramps taking up multiple spots, even parking on the ends of rows, so it's hard to get around them. So some people suggested making the ends of rows compact parking only, or creating a new space for oversized large vehicles, because obviously the ramps weren't created when these large vehicles were being driven around, so there's not a lot of room for them. People also were concerned that covered parkers are paying for covered parking, but the rooftop parkers are taking up their spots. They said sometimes, even though they're paying for covered, they end up parking on the roof because it's so full, and they would like to see better enforcement of rooftop versus covered parking. That, I don't know, that could be solved with like a parking tag or a sticker in their car or something like that. But in general, people also were just hoping there could be more enforcement of the larger issues as well, like double parking or taking up too many spaces, stuff like that. Just more enforcement was probably the largest thing that people wanted to see fixed. We also had a lot of feedback that the ramps are very full, which we know this at this point, but even some monthly parkers saying that they've gone in a few times and they haven't been able to get a spot, which is a good problem to have. We have lots of use of the ramps. That was the biggest thing people had. Besides that, there were a couple mentions of security concerns, just requests for maybe more daytime presence in there, mentions of suspicious cars parked for long periods of time. Again, I think this could be solved with just having maybe more enforcement of these issues. The other thing we saw was a lot of comments on seeing new drivers in the ramps who don't understand how the ramps work, which obviously you guys also know is an issue, but so I think the continuing of the education of how they work, what direction to go, how to pay, when you can use them, stuff like that would be very useful. The only other thing is we had a request, and I don't know if you guys have thought about this before, but for there to be free 2-hour parking in the ramps. Obviously, I just got done saying how full the ramps are, but this lady said that it's done in Fargo, and it really helps people feel comfortable coming downtown because they don't have to worry about finding a spot on the street. They just know they can go into the ramp and find a spot. Just 2-hour parking, just like on the side of the street. Besides that, we had some specific maintenance recommendations, but obviously that's not really relevant to you guys, but there was a lot of good feedback too. A lot of people said that they feel safe in the ramps, that they're clean, that the staff there is great, easy to work with, and that they enjoy using the ramps. Someone even said, thank you for being on top of snow removal, which is pretty big for North Dakotans. That's about it, but if you have any more questions, I can go into more detail on things.
Questions? Do we have questions? feedback, questions? Is it possible to do key card and application at the same time? Or is it one versus the other?
I would assume so, but
Right,
that would
just
probably be
curious.
more for Jeremy.
Jeremy, any thoughts on that? Or
As I understand it, that it would be possible.
those who like their old key card? can-
Right.
If we were to go that way. Okay, and maybe some questions towards Jeremy than the downtowners and for doing the survey, which we appreciate. The large vehicle issue that she raised, I think we're all aware of that. I think, are the end spots mostly marked for compact cars already?
Correct, yeah, on like the turn lanes and on the wing walls and stuff, at areas where it gets tight, there are signs posted as compact only. More so in Galleria and Parkade, a couple areas in the 6th Street ramp too.
Would it be possible to maybe beef up that signage or make it more prominent or more of a warning?
Well,
Compact
yeah,
vehicles only,
absolutely,
violators
yeah.
towed.
Yeah, Corey and I actually, after we reviewed the survey and the comments on a couple of those items where we are getting some additional signage and then even direction, I guess, larger print directional signage for exiting on 6th Street ramp specifically. And then the idea, ironically, about the idea of the stickers on the windows for the rooftop parkers. Corey and I were talking about that the week before we actually got the results from the survey, so it was timely. And then, of course, the education part, we're putting the link to the video on our website, and then we can look at other channels as far as Dakota Media Access and other PSA places to get that word out and get that education out there.
Is there a way to, going back to the large vehicle issue, is there a way to discourage these giant oversized pickups or whatever from taking those compact spaces? I mean, I know you can get nasty stickers to put on windshields that are really hard to remove, which is a warning. And
Yeah,
next time
and
be
I mean, we'd
towed.
probably be more gentle to it on the first, as far
Yeah.
as just a memo warning on the
Okay.
windshield, and then if it's a repeat offender, I guess
Okay.
tighten the screws, so to speak.
Okay, and you're addressing the rooftop issue already. And then, how is the new security firm doing? We haven't heard anything about
Yeah,
them.
they've been in place for 2 months now. Good feedback, doing well already off the bat.
Other questions?
Jeremy,
Jake?
I would just be curious if we had this app, would that help your management at all? Does that create any efficiencies for you and your team, or not really? Is it more of a user
I think more on the,
thing?
the efficiencies are more so for the customer user. On the back end administratively, it becomes more burdensome as far as being able to track the payments and do that daily reporting. So it would be more work on the administrative side for management.
So then I guess that similar question to the portal idea, the payment portal, would that create some efficiencies for you?
Yes, that as a separate item would definitely create more efficiencies, and we're still looking into that. And I've had some discussions with the finance department by way of like what the Public Works Water Department is using and the Pimenta system. There's other options out there as well, and so we're still exploring what the best options would be.
So for monthly users now, are they just dropping by the office and dropping off a check? That's
Yes, they're just doing manual payments via
Okay.
check or credit card.
Sure,
yeah.
okay. And then the other question I had was related to the free 2-hour parking. That's probably something we've considered in the past. Do we have any idea on, could we find out how much revenue we would lose if we had free parking on weekends? Is that something we track versus weekdays? Or, how full the ramps are on weekends to consider that?
Yeah, so like at 3rd Street ramp is free parking on evenings and weekends.
That's right.
But that's the only ramp that we've tested that at. But surface lots, I guess we have the gates open on weekends as well. So I guess it would be the revenue lost would be more so probably a majority of the in the financials, I guess, the hourly
Sure.
validation revenue and the general parking revenue.
Okay.
Would that potentially create additional headaches or complaints from monthly parkers or, not being able to find a space?
That would in my mind, definitely be foreseeable that it would start to create a lot of
Some problems.
logjam with as far as based on our already oversell rate, and then if we're bringing that many more hourly parkers in, it could create some issues of not finding spots, especially for our monthly customers.
So circling back to the survey and the app portion of it, where do you see us going from here, Jeremy? Where would you like to go from here, I guess, or the authority members?
Well, as shown in the survey, a majority of respondents are open to the idea of having an app option, but then that the enthusiasm drops off if there's additional fees, with having the technology would be a third-party vendor, and so there would be fees involved, and so whether or not taking a cue from the airlines that nobody likes additional fees, if we would just wrap it into and increase the cost and absorb it that way, that could be an option to go forward as opposed to tacking on additional fee. However, not every user may be using the app, and so it may not be fair then to just charge a blanket increase across the board.
Okay. Seems to make sense. So this is something we just take under advisement at this point and maybe dust it off down the road a little bit and revisit it? Okay.
I think that's fair at this point.
Maria, does that
based
seem
on-
like a good course to you guys too? Okay. All right, other questions or comments on that item? Anybody?
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
go ahead,
sorry.
Josh.
So, one of the kind of prevalent comments on the survey was just people worried about finding a space, the ramps being full, all that kind of stuff. So last night I was looking at our capacity utilization report, and maybe somebody can help me understand this, but looking at the peak number of users on a day divided by total spaces in all the ramps, and as I look at this, the gallery is pretty full. But as I'm looking at the other ramps, the Parkade and the Third Street are lower to mid-60s on a peak day utilization rate, and the Sixth Street is on a peak day about 70%. And so it seems to me there's still quite a few spaces available on a peak day. And so I'm not quite understanding kind of the concern on ramps being full, at least from the data that is in our utilization report.
We'll let Jeremy tackle that one.
So, as I kind of unwrap that, my initial thought is that when you first go into the first three levels, everything is full, and then that kind of just triggers the assumption that everything's full, right? But as you start to go up on the upper levels and then including the rooftop, there is more available. So that might have just been kind of an observation thing as far as the comments on that So it is true that at the peak times, I mean, there's a plus or minus error to that a little bit as far as like how the reports are generating based on in times and out times and things like that. But for the most part, they're pretty accurate. And so most of the available spaces are towards the upper levels, but people like to get in like right on the main couple levels and not have to walk as far. So that I think that's kind of where some of that those comments come from.
Okay? Yeah. Good point. Good point. And we do discount rooftop parking for those that choose to do that, right? What is our rate for the rooftops again? Versus
It's
40, 45?
40, yeah.
40, right?
Right.
Yep. So it's a significant discount, but if people don't want to do it. Okay, other questions? Those are good questions and comments. Anything further on that item? Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Jeremy?
authority board members, I'd just like to, publicly thank Maria and the downtowners again for initiating the survey and helping us gather that info. Very much appreciated. And it was very, very good to see the comments, both the suggestions and the good comments and things that were and taken into consideration and working through some of the comments to make the ramps more user-friendly for our customer base and for the citizens of Bismarck.
Agreed. Thank you. Thanks, Maria and Kate and Don and the downtowners for undertaking that. We appreciate it. Other business. Anyone have any other business for the good of the order? Anything from management? Commissioner? Nothing? All right, short and sweet. We like that. If there's no objection, we will adjourn until the June 13th meeting. Thanks, everyone.